You look stunning, by the way.
Hey everybody, Vince here from the Gallatin Underground doing a Hidden Gems episode with Neil Filo Beddow with my co-host.
Aaron Redfire.
And so today we're here with Neil Filo Beddow and we're going to introduce him now.
Well, here I am. Yeah, today I'm going to run through some poetry that a lot of it has to do with community and what's going on in the world today. Some of it's nonsense and some of it's serious. So I guess we could start out just by. We'll go ahead and I'll just. This one's called Big Small Man, and I think you'll be able to relate to it. Where do you pay your money just to stay on the planet? How did you get to own it and how do you stand it? Who did you pay your money to when it came time to buy, back when they just gave it away and I don't know the reason why? Water running on the land, how did it end up your possession? Folks downstream you boogalized, called it a business transaction. As we sift through the ashes, you don't own no precious metal. Your crude is Big Small Man's and he's stepping on the pedal. Big Small Man's got a big shovel and he's got a big rig. He's got a big army, but he should be in the brig. He's got big pockets, even carries a purse. Even owns a landfill complete with the curse. You got that home fire that warms your favorite spot. Keeps you cool in the summer and in the winter keeps you hot. Then he'll make that fire bigger and he'll burn it all night, that's true. You won't believe this little fella, but it'll spread your cancer too. Now if he can take it all and mold it just right, he'll put it all in a ball and charge you till it's out of sight. Then he'll give it a chokehold, give you shit you don't need. Then the next job he'll take is the air that we'll breathe. One day I was looking for work, said I could run him a scam. He said we keep all the money and to hell with Uncle Sam. He told me this and he told me that, but it just wasn't so. All the money went in his suitcase and the rest to his cousin Bo. Seems like the working man always struggles to get his pay, and Big Small Man's on vacation somewhere far away. He's spending all that cash. Most of it goes up his nose. He had a great year 'cause he paid off all his CEOs. So that kind of ties in, I think, with um, what's going on in the valley and what can happen, I guess, when y- let me start at the beginning. White people used to give other white people land to homestead on that they already stole, and they homesteaded and now they can stay there. So then eventually they thought, well, I'll sell this piece of land, and then next thing you know, something that was land that was free is now involved in this big wife swap of a building community. So that's what I was kind of getting at with this poem.
Yeah, it seems
And
like it's a very
Yeah.
politically driven poem.
and like how nowadays like everything's just kind of getting bought up and like
Yeah.
it's all like wealthy greed interests taking over and reducing our opportunities
Hmm.
to
And
enjoy that
whose was
freedom.
it? Whose was it to begin with? And it's
Right.
Well,
now all of a sudden it costs
yeah.
money.
I mean, I think Native Americans, particularly, like they had a lot of land taken from them, but like
Yeah.
they didn't think that anybody could own the land. It's
Right.
just something you live on.
Right.
So like now that it's become like this big thing of red tape and money, it's just kind of corrupt and like.
Sell you a house with a handshake.
Hmm.
Maybe not.
Well, what do you got for us next, Neil?
Well, I like recipes, and I kind of these next couple poems are um, one's about music, and it uses musical terms to describe a human thought process, and it's just kind of a good metaphor for me to come up with a recipe.
Cool.
This one's called Ingredients. Held hostage from birth, a pleading note in a tumbleweed stalled when the wind died. A message in a bottle stalled in the doldrums side. There's a talking stick in the river held up in an ice jam, upstream unforeseen. An answer, waiting for the question, is held up in wishful scheme. Clung to the legs of a rover, Earth's ingredients traveled all over this universe and mixed with the soil of Andromeda. The recipe was unexpected. The unsolicited primordial ooze baked a cake of alien surprise that dissected something's rapture, someone's prophecy, something's painful birth, somebody's vague parable. Perhaps another Armageddon, a kind of Valhalla. Better yet, something totally unfathomable. So I always, you read about these scientists exploring in other areas, and the equipment that they bring has stuff on it. You know, whether it's germs, molecules, whatever, and the equipment they use. Lake Vostok in Russia. Russians were drilling down to get to the water mass. It's huge, one of the hugest in the world, and they were concerned that the drill bit that they were drilling with would hit that water and create something else, something that this water mass had never seen. So
Contaminated.
yeah, then
Right.
contamination, and so like clung to the legs of the rover. You know, we carry along a little bit of earth and kind of plant it unsolicited on in other areas. So a recipe for what?
We'll find out.
It's a disaster.
Cool. Let's see what you got next.
Yeah, I've been fascinated with fossils for a long time, and we'd fossil pick back in eastern Montana. And the hills or the rings on the hills are mostly like a bathtub. And you get out to the place, and there's oil in this particular place too. The anticline all of a sudden takes a dip, and the line is going like this and not like a bathtub anymore. So the anticline, in my mind, kicks up all these fossils in the back. It kicks up, meaning kicks it up about 100,000 years worth. But and humans being fossils too. And so I was trying to kind of incorporate both of them. And I called this one the Human Anticline.
Cool.
And it goes, land rounded, dirt shows through, mixed with the air around us. How long have I walked by you and not seen what's underfoot? You are the forgotten ones. Nobody knows your name, but I'm starting to remember you. It's so long since you came and went, I can tell by your ancient teeth marks. What you know is still abound. I just couldn't see enough to know. You are the unexpected ones. Your fossil is a surprise. Under the rock, I know you're there. Your remains encased, crossed over. I took it you weren't there. 1,000 silent voices singing in directions from everywhere. You are the missing ones. I thought you were gone, but I hear you on the wind. Movement in a crowd of footsteps poking out on Badland hills. You're visible with the tap of a hammer, the spirit in the sparkle of your eyes. You are the obvious ones. You are found and taken home from the Human Anticline. The chair is empty, it's vacant. You decided not to come. The circle forms without you and includes you, the imprinted stone yet to be found. You are the one who is away for whatever reason. Your soil isn't yet exposed. My restless spirit to roam in both, the present and the obscure. A tense-legged reality, a wandering foot in hunter's dream to survive and endure. I am the restless one, in fear that I would take hold, or forever would I float.
Wow, that was really cool.
Neil, how do you sit down to write stuff like this?
That one, I attended a Naraya, a Native American celebration, and and we were fossil hunting before that, and this whole collision of everything, it was a very kind of a meditative experience for me. I was the felt totally out of place, and but and a lot of times I'll just I mean I'm known to have a piece of paper in my pocket,
Just start writing.
just writing something down. Metaphors are big for me. If I can hear something that describes something totally different, like, ooh, I can build off that. Or and like I said before, this next one's called a spiritual recipe, and just using recipe terms like put in the wire rack and let cool, and but mixing it in with the human part of this. So, and other than that, all I can tell you is it's like the other day I came up with a song and I just put my head back and I just rolled through two chords and all around in our town came into my mind, and then I go, oh, here it comes, and it was like somebody was sitting there with me, and it's coming out the end of the pen, and boom, it's like
That's
really a
cool.
mysterious experience, I thought. But
Isn't it great when just inspiration hits you like that?
yeah, it's and then some of them don't come so easily either. But and and I'm not so worried about it. I'm worried about the way it sounds, but going through these, I had to weed out some of it isn't very readable, and for me, poetry is more understandable when somebody reads it to me, because I can, if I just read it off here, I kind of get lost and God, I wonder what he means by that. And then when you hear somebody talk about it, it's like, oh, okay, I totally understand.
I got you.
So then poetry readings are, I've been to a few, and I really liked it because I can just sit and listen and imagine.
Just kind of close your eyes and envision what
When it's to
they're
me, it's
putting out there.
yeah, to me it's like photography.
Mhm.
It's taking a picture of that particular thought. You can steal a place and time with a photograph, and just like a perceptual picture that
Sure.
I can just run something by somebody and they can get the picture of what I'm trying to talk about. So,
Right. Just sort of painting a picture with words.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And then the picture's worth 1,000 words, so maybe that's the way to go. You wouldn't have to do 1,000 words to get to the picture.
Hopefully not, right?
Yeah.
That's a long poem.
So this one is called Spiritual Recipe. And it goes, preheat to the promised land of positivity with the eye of a skink and the middle toe of a newt. Mix it in the bubbling brew, turning it over, then turning it over and over. Enter the world of the spirit, then cover and chill for a crispier crust. Add a pinch of a phone call and a cup of prayer, then saute your conscious contact, chopped finely with silence. Slowly add some psychic change and pour the boiling mixture over powerlessness, stirring it constantly because it will need your attention. Reduce heat, cover and simmer until the blessings and grace are blended. Your romaine perception and Cornish tolerance stir fries lightly and lightly tossed into the resources of all religions. Add to the spiritual theory souffle, then bake at 400 degrees for 20 minutes until your forgiveness is golden brown. And, oh man, let cool on Serenity's wire rack. It yields about a dozen. Cut into 1.5-inch pieces and try some service to center your thoughts. Cover, chill thoroughly before serving. There is love and tolerance, linguini, and purveyors of consciousness of being horse ovaries, hors d'oeuvres. Lend to a puree of the freedom riddle, and a spiritual condition is sifted with an awakening of experience, wisdom, and acceptance. Then gradually fold in some sunlight of the spirit, stirring just until moistened, then remove from heat. Makes 6 to 8 servings.
That one's really witty.
I really like the recipe concept in that one
Yeah.
particularly. It was flowed really well.
Yeah,
into-
I think like I've never heard a poem like that before. Like So, like, would you say that piece is like anti-religion and more spirituality, or?
Definitely more spirituality. I tried to stay away from religion really in this one, just talking about the aspects of spirituality and not the religious way of looking at it. It's so I put it in a recipe.
Do you think that religion can often cheapen like a spiritual experience?
Well, it can certainly make it one-sided. And this next poem actually segues right into it. It's called Cyclops.
Oh,
And it's only one way to think, only one way to speak, only just one way of looking at things.
that linear sort of
Yeah,
mindset.
and so
That
Cyclops with the one eye, kind of, that's the metaphor there. That um, some of this kind of reminds me of Vince and I had a conversation here a while ago when I thought I knew the whole story. And Vince had the other side of the story, and I was so glad we talked because
It's
it
it's
makes a
amazing
difference.
how perception can be misconstrued
Yep.
just based off of somebody's telling of an event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and this kind of addresses Cyclops. It's kind of wordplay.
Cool.
Cyclops, thought so hard to think. Cyclops' sight can't see any other direction. Cyclops' mouth has only one speak. Cyclops' diet eats only red meat. Cyclops' ranch has only one treat. One Cyclops' tooth plows too fragile a field. The destruction never matches the yield. Stealing land for beautiful Cyclops views. Cyclops school, Cyclops church, Cyclops rule, Cyclops birth, Cyclops judge, Cyclops court. Only one way comes up short. Cyclops method bowls a hole in cahoots with his friend the troll. Cyclops gender, no muss, no fuss. Cyclops energy drives the bus. Cyclops trash spreads out for miles. Cyclops face never smiles. Cyclops medicine always in theater. Sterile Cyclops mask over his eyes. Cyclops food and a world in culling dyed. Forges a way for her third eye wide.
I love that one. It reminds me of a joke I heard about like spiritual cyclopses. But it was like, you mentioned third eye, but like cyclopses only have one eye, right?
Correct.
So like if a cyclops is like meditating and said, you need to open your second eye.
or would it be you need to open your other inner two eyes?
But I can't find them. I can't find them, grasshopper.
That's funny.
So
me-
it would be nice to be a Cyclops to read that one. So I was trying to kind of be a Cyclops.
I hope that everybody got that impression.
Yeah. But he's got a sore throat.
I'll superimpose a big eyeball over your.
Hey, there you go. One of those filters, right?
Yeah, right.
Have you ever because I know you're also a songwriter.
Right.
Have you ever written something that was like going to be a song, but it just wound up being a poem?
Yeah, kind of like that. I mentioned that to Vince a little earlier. Bozeman Poetry Coalition is a group in Bozeman, and they have open mic at Steep Mountain Tea.
Oh, didn't they
Cool.
also used to do it at the library?
Yeah, and at the library. So I've been to a couple of those, and they asked me one time to be kind of the guest there to play some music. And so what I did is I read the song first, and then I sang it.
Cool.
And I read the song first, and then I sang it. And we talked about whether or not songs can be poetry and poetry can be songs, and I do think that they can. But Cyclops might have a putting
Hard
some
transition
music
into
or
music.
yeah, it's or some of what I write is relatively small, and it's just meant for a snapshot in the photography world. So. But yeah, I think yes, one of these actually was written to be a song, and I've just never played it that often. So I thought I would put that one in. The
Cool.
one about the fossils.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And so it is the crossover. I think it. I think it can apply, but that's a cool question though.
What's this next one called?
Well, this one is kind of the recipe theme again. Is about
Nice.
music, and well, you just decide for yourself. Because sitar bent voice, melodic and ancient with weight. Classical, it plays out like it sounds better than anything else. Arrogant, like stiff, well-made clothing, and tragic is Dachau. So intense, I have to turn it off. It's probably more fun to play than it is to listen to. Minstrel, it pushes and pulls at my bloodstream like the full moon. Emotional and lyrical moves the thought to my heart, and poet sets up its furniture as if it had always been there. Melody, genius, her voice osprey flew with her own experience, and each new tuning of his guitar raised the hair on my neck. And beyond the song, word tears trickled down my face. Tight, swift, tapered cutlery, together they flew, matched note for note, improvised and written the way they felt. Trumpet, the flute, one chair after the other, in cornfield, oboes and bassoons and rows upon rows, played out through time in an orchestra harvest. Thrilled bagpipe comes to mind. The snare drum is rallying the countryside. Shape fitted bass like only few can play. Danced with it upright or held close like infant electric. Blues riff, just like cooking. It all depends on the chef. Piano, ivory, maple, inlaid, hand-hewn harpsichord, chamber quiet. Heartbeat, vogue, volume rattles the one-way windows all throughout the neighborhood, spilling up tidal waves of misunderstanding against the grain like new music from every generation. The absurdity is that music can be only liked but rarely appreciated.
I sense like a lot of like emotions in that one.
Mm-hmm.
Which ones do you say are the most prominent in that particular poem?
Um, I think just the idea of trying to create a lot of like the orchestra harvest,
Mm-hmm.
and to get a picture of all putting the bassoons and oboes in corn rows, and
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just
love
trying
the
to
way you
create
like
this visual.
personified all those instruments.
Yeah, just trying to make a visual of it would be like The Apprentice, Mickey Mouse with zillion
Mm-hmm.
brooms or whatever, just kind of making that kind of picture. And in this next one too, it's called Tornado, and I actually went and um, just read about tornadoes, and they have certain phrases that describe what tornadoes do, and what they sound like, and what to do when a tornado comes. So, and then mixed with my subconscious and my consciousness, um, it sort of sounds like a tornado.
Cool.
Oh, I'm
And
excited for this one.
it says, my snake-like funnel beats an irregular path 30 seconds into my subconscious prevailing wind. Nurtured and suckled from the mother cloud above, I turn counterclockwise in memory's northern hemisphere. My mindful air of careful dispositions meet near the center, a puzzle reality, and then rushes upward. That by sea I would be a voyage-tossed waterspout, and by land, my adolescent twister has a sudden drop in a lasting relationship air pressure that wraps around the outside of life sustenance buildings, that explode all bigotry and the tangled trees of racism. The vortex of diplomacy widens with cumulonimbus, and the warm, moist air of righteousness spreads from the south and meets the cold air of justice from the north and west, then sinks. It adds to the turbulent, boiling mass of oppressive blackness. The violent, twisting wind of a cold remark begins on a hot, sticky human afternoon, and the sound hissing noise of rejection turns into the roar of 1,000 freight trains in my living room as my foot slips off the dead man and dynamites the tornado train in a derailed heap of twisted thoughts. The further inland it moves, the more this sun-kinked fate rotates as I crouch in the cellar, hugging my knees, and I hear the 300 mile per hour fury above. The debris of my perception falls into the northeast corner as I sense and persist in the need to prevail and rebuild. So some of that with the moist air from the north and the cool air from the south mixing and hitting, creating this. I wanted to kind of
Turbulent
create the
wonder.
real image
Yeah.
of a tornado while sort of talking about it.
I like how in that one, I think you mentioned it right before you said it, but like the words and stuff, like it felt like a tornado. Like it would, like steadily like increase in complexity and then like swirl back,
Mm-hmm.
and that was really cool. Very
Yeah.
well done.
Thank you. And the you can also do it with the weather.
Yeah.
All the descriptions of weather have a tendency to describe things. Tom Waits did it really good in his emotional weather forecast, and he's at the piano. You know, my piano's had too much to drink, and and so I kind of got the idea from him, but I just thought it was a clever way of trying to put something that um, would be unusual.
Sure.
So did you say like Tom Waits is kind of like an inspiration to your poetry?
Um, yeah, he can be. In this one in particular, I think my main poetry inspiration is Don Van Vliet, Captain Beefheart.
Oh.
And you know his music is unusual enough, but his lyrics are just incredible. The descriptions that he uses to describe where he's at.
Hmm.
So yeah, mostly Don Van Vliet. But this one is called Emotional Weather Report. My emotional weather is a local forecast, partly cloudy with some scattered afternoon and evening thunder showers. My wandering disposition has a wind chill factor of 40 below Fahrenheit. Cooler to the north, followed by a low pressure system, and a storm off her coast bringing in my moist hot airflow. My degrees Celsius is a sunny zone forecast with a slight chance of hail and tornado watch. A high pressure system floats in my mind, and my 6 on the Richter scale meteorologist reports are the temperatures indicated from the previous day, with some cold flurries blowing up my AccuWeather forecast. The ambient temperature of my heart varies with the UV index, with my highs in the 90s and my lows in the cellar, mixing with snow flurries in my UV exposure reading. Tonight, there's a traveler's advisory on my doorstep, with blizzard, snow, and ice as my blind dates, and will hook up later with her sister Frost Heaves. The winds are out of the east, 10 to 15 miles per hour, looking down the front of our farmer's almanac. Looking down the front of her farmer's almanac, blowing all the watches and warnings in my direction. There is a road closure headed my way, and I'll follow the snowplow out of town. The weather doesn't just show up when it's bad. The weather is always at it.
I really liked in that one how you took a lot of like ways that people look at the weather nowadays and like how to see what's going to happen and incorporated that into your description of your weather report.
My emotional weather
Yeah.
forecast.
TripAdvisor and
Yeah.
AccuWeather.
Well, I like that one because like it very much it feels like you're like the wearman, but like of your mind.
That's right.
Of your mind,
That's right.
yeah.
That was my weather report. I could have been pointing at a map.
I don't know what that terrain would look like, Neil,
Yes,
but
we won't go there.
that's cool.
And a lot of stuff I like just plain wordplay.
Yeah.
And there was a post somewhere where they were asking how come it's called corn dog instead of dog corn? Or how come it's called corn cob instead of cob corn? Is there some kind of rule that determines that? And so I got to thinking about words that are put in that
Order.
order and then what they sound like the other way. And this one is called ho tally.
Cool.
Thinking about thinking, talking about talking, writing about writing, clopping while you're clipping. Chat shit about cat shit. Hear about listening. Have a feeling about felt or being felt. And no dally dilly. Top tip while flop flip with a thong or thongs. Slide slip till you drop and talk about tick. While everything is top tip like belly jelly. As one song sings with Kong King, carefully. If one were shape ship, you could pong ping or dong about dinging in the middle of mash mish. Sitting on a fence post don't make no sense, as tumbleweed is as weed tumbles. Pay you no mind to the raff riff. So cheerio, chip chip, ho tally.
I was having problems not laughing during that one. 'Cause
Yeah, that
I mean, you're right. Like those words.
don't make any sense if they're said backwards, but
Dong
you still
ding.
know
Yeah,
you
dong
still
ding.
know what
My
you're
favorite.
talking about.
My favorite was Kong King.
Conking, yeah,
That's a good
one.
name for a band.
But it's stuff like that
Would it be like a little picture of one of those Kongs for the dog
It'd be
toys?
like the reverse of King Kong. It'd be like a small monkey.
yeah.
That's too
There
much.
could be a movie.
He like climbs like a Lego building.
We
That's
could
great.
get together after this and come up with something.
Write a screenplay.
So, Neil, do you get out often to perform poetry? Perform?
No.
No?
And frankly, we were talking, maybe it'd be a good segue for this, that I would come up with, I've got books of this stuff.
Yeah.
And I would describe to my artist friend, Rob Morrow, from RAM Graphics, RAM, and I would explain to him that I don't think I've ever had an original thought in my life. I think I've caught bits of
A bunch of other
what's out
thoughts.
there, and
Right.
we all kind of form what we were brought up with, kind of thing. And he went off. Took him about a week, and he drew a robot with the top of his head coming off, and all this stuff was swirling up here, like the guitar and all this other stuff that I was talking about. And it was called Variation on a Theme, but the picture was exactly what I was talking about, not having an original idea, but there's so much stuff up there that, where does it all go? So he, a picture worth 1,000 words kind of thing.
Sure.
And he had another one. I talked about perceptional pictures. I mentioned that before, that my perception of what something looks like. So he drew this picture, and then in the reflection, it was something entirely different. And the perceptional picture. And so the whole picture and the scene around it sort of had that air of, you didn't quite know what was going on. Yet you had an idea, but
Right.
it was a perception thing. So that's always intrigued me about poetry, and that. And some of this is probably prose poetry. It isn't like in a sonata form or stuff like original poetry. And so I don't know where this all fits in, but it.
I mean, I think it's all kind of a matter of perception. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, somebody that goes to school to write poetry or, literature or anything like that is kind of, in my opinion, given a set of rules to follow.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that there's anything wrong with having structure to doing things, but I do think that it does kind of complicate creativity when you have to conform to a certain style or standard. And to be able to just take an idea and not follow a structure doesn't mean that it's not poetic.
Right, and I have what I call a painful rhyme. Everything has to rhyme, so it's like No, it is a rhyme in this line just isn't going to work. I'm not gonna do it, kind of thing. So this segued into this one's called "That Ain't No Damn Poem." That ain't no damn poem. Where's the reason? Where's the rhyme? You got to have flowers and love. Got to be laid out as to keep time. Cast ye not with blunderbuss and delicate like a tiny teacup or gale force on a whispering wind. Can't you just say it like it is, straight out? Where is that idea, that feeling when I put words to it? Many times it squirms away when it hears what I'm trying to do. Sometimes it's not quite enough when I have a given moment cannot be taken away because I can't put my finger on it. Take the sparks from my magic vase and scatter them into the night. The galaxy, its shape, is in my soul. The outer limits black hole is my mind. Floating down the river of cosmic debris goes this ghost ship of mine, looking to bask in the sunlight of the spirit. Time indeed a bendable item in the vast span of infinite space. My comprehension pales next to my imagination run rampant. Where's the reason? Where's the rhyme? That ain't no damn poem. So it is sort of a, um, and I think poetry has some theatrical value too. I mean, I think if
Sure.
I'm working on a couple videos that uh, with music and lyrics, but I have a friend in Minnesota that jazzes them up. I mean, he has all these filters and can do some wonderful things with it. But just being able to mention it to somebody, like my friend Rob doing the artwork,
Yeah.
it brings more people into it. Next thing you know, you got 4 or 5 people. Now we have 3,
Yeah.
us 3 right here. So I mean, it's never gone any further than that. So
And all the lovely people watching this video. Thank you
Yes.
very much.
Thank you.
that haven't turned it off by now. No, so I mean, it's that part of creativity I think that's um, worth sharing. For somebody that wants it. Not everybody wants to listen to this stuff.
No, and it's not meant for everybody.
Right.
For the people that do actually take the time and to listen to it, it might actually mean something a lot more than you ever
Right.
had envisioned.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'm sure when you started coming up with these ideas and sharing them with your friend Rob, and he didn't have the idea to just draw the robot with
Right.
stuff coming out of his head. Like
Yeah.
you planted that in his head, and without
you
you
inspired him.
sharing him,
Yeah,
sharing that inspiration with him, he may not have ever put together something like
right. It's that uh, by myself I can only go so far. So I by myself and I go, hey Aaron, check this out, and then whoa, I could probably, next thing you know, it's
It
grown.
becomes
It sounds
something that
different.
was
Yeah.
never intended to be, but it's still a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Do you have any plans to publish your work?
I
in a book
self-published
form?
one.
Oh, nice.
It was called Song and Peace. It's kind of a spoof off of War and Peace,
Oh, okay.
and it was mostly music. It was mostly all my songs that I put in there from the last couple decades. So
Cool.
Okay.
I'm working on one. I'm always, I put them on my Word page, and then I have a table of contents and stuff like that. So I kind of keep track of. Then I read back through it and throw half of it out. So it's like, ugh. But and even doing this, I mean, I ended up changing words around, and the rewrite kind of is a regular thing.
Right.
It starts out, if you're writing, man, just don't stop. And then stop when you're done, then go back and.
Right. I don't know how many songs I've written that I've thought were gonna that were great when I wrote them, and as time progressed, and through help of others or involvement of others, Aaron included.
Things change. Yeah.
Yeah, things have definitely changed and not uh, been anything like I intended in the beginning.
Mhm.
But to go back and to listen to like the original, or to reread the original and see what it was and what it became is interesting, because you may have diverted a little bit from your original topic or idea, but it changed it in a way that is still very cohesive, you
Yeah.
know. And so I think it's very
It
interesting
grows.
how involvement of others really plays into the way that a piece of art is finished or you know grows
Yeah,
over
and you
time.
don't look at it as good or bad. You just
No,
look
it
at
just
it
changes.
as, yeah,
Yeah.
as, more information. Well, I
Mm.
don't think that way anymore. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
so I can change it or,
Wow.
Sure.
I like to view like refining things, like because you mentioned like you had to go back and like change some words around, like it's like you're sculpting something out of marble, and like you chip away some parts. Like sometimes leaving something out is just as important as putting something
or you go like that. You go, whoops.
in. Or that could happen too. luckily, luckily, lyrics and poetry aren't so easily destroyable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The sometimes I like to write a story about a story that's already been written, like
Hmm.
Red Riding Hood. So
Mhm.
I thought I would use those characters, except mine is called Riding Red Hood.
That wordplay thing again.
Yes. She had to wait for her micro polyethylene riding red hood to get through the rinse cycle of flushing tiny beads of plastic and the aggravation of a direct flight into an ozone dryer because she wasn't going anywhere looking skanky like that. She had nice, hermetically sealed cake in her basket under her false bottom, hoping to make it through customs without detainee infected scratches and separation anxieties. Then off to see Granny in her overcharged health care assisted living hospice unit while waiting for the big bad wolf Meals on Wheels that no longer shows up on Wednesdays. Like riding red, like a hood, was gonna pick up the slack. The weasel orange capitalistic wolf got a scent of her route to make a profit advantage of an already dire situation. Red got there late because she was dodging those preemptive strikes, but finally arrived at Granny's, displaced and violated. Why, Granny, what big drone and cyber disc eyes you have! The better to close voyeur scrutiny and Patriot Act profiling you, my dear. What deep dish your room is bugged with big brother ears you have, Granny. The better to hear you pant while I huff and puff with national security, my dear. Granny, what big switchblade aluminum steel tariff black teeth and bitchin' orthodontic sardonic unnerving smile you have. The better to create a distraction pretending to eat you while I'm pilfering the countryside, stealing all the spare change from poverty's coffers. All of a sudden, the big bad orange wolf started to hack up a giant right wing furball. Out popped Granny. Then she had Red kicked his ass.
The ending is amazing.
Yeah,
So
you certainly have a play with words, Neil. That's the way that you can take something like that and put it as a picture that is something that everybody can see and be involved in some way. I mean, you can't pretend like you're living under a rock forever, you know.
yeah,
But
I,
that's
I liked how actually I got the voices turned around. Granny's supposed to talk like that. So I got them backwards, but
Well, this is just an older
yeah,
Red
it's
Riding
an
Hood.
older riding Red Hood.
Vince, is it time for me to
Oh,
do
it
the
is
thing?
time for you to do your thing, Aaron.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Aaron's doing her thing.
Where are we right now? Okay.
Just moved to space. Now we're underwater. Oh my God.
So, everybody, please check out our YouTube channel. You must probably already be watching it on our YouTube channel. So,
Hopefully.
if you're not, I don't know how you got here, but check out our YouTube channel. Be sure to like our videos, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay caught up to the new episodes of the GU Show, live streams, and hidden gems. Like
Which we're
this.
doing today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can head over to our website, www.theguradio.com, for content from our artists on our show, events calendar, and a submission form to get on the show. I think that's been changed now, right? It's now get on our show.
It's
It's like
still
right at
it's
the very
still
top.
actually there, but a lot of people are having a hard time finding it, so we made it easier. So now there's a
Mhm.
little link at the top there that just says "Get on our show." It's pretty easy to find.
Yeah.
So
Our web store is up and running, so make sure to grab your own Gallatin Underground merch. We got hats, tees, hoodies, and more. Stickers, too. And we're now offering sponsorships to businesses. If you like what we do, want to support us, and have your business represented on the Gallatin Underground, go to our website, and there's information on that there.
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Aaron. And we'll get back to Neil now and hear some more poems.
Well, okay then. These next ones are kind of short, so I think I'll read like three of them
Okay.
in a row. This one is called "Genetically in Between." Eve came from Adam's rib, all dressed in black stem stilettos, one of Earth's first documented clones. Once the diocese got primordial wind of the altered human, there was a mad dash of misinformed, publicized transplant, so nothing would show up unexpected scientifically. A phrase was turned biblical. A phrase was turned biblical that woman was a suitable helper for him. A small portion of Adam's side was in pain and has been ever since. Drink that wine and I'll wash your feet with that first DNA, and the marrow from the bone fed a different kind of life. Everybody made her a girl, everybody made him a boy, and all of life gave way to what happened genetically in between. This one's called Custer. I saw George Not So Strong Arm Custer the other day, dressed in khaki cargo shorts and a loud Hawaiian shirt. Yesterday he got drunk and went to the Three Forks Rodeo, and today he's shooting up heroin and listening to Pink Floyd. Now he knows he never really fit in anywhere. There is so much ambition and slaughter, said in a different an Indian looking for her daughter. He wiped off one more promise from his sweaty brow with the cloth of a brand new map as he sat quietly with a pistol in his lap. The new map only shows roads just for certain people. This map holds plans that are conjured secret in a church steeple, like no one else was there. This next one is called Blind Guy. I think I saw the blind guy driving yesterday. He seemed to be doing okay. Tap, tap, tapping on the dashboard with his white cane, as he does when he's walking down the street like he always does. I see him get by and wonder how he can. Other days I see him behind the wheel and he has the cane slung over his wrist, with both hands on the steering wheel, driving like a madman. I get the hell out of the way. He must have a sophisticated car or something. He must have a keen sense of awareness or something. Maybe he's not blind after all. Maybe it's an observation I should run by my trained professional. Or maybe I should just call the cops.
Is that last one about that particular car that I see driving around in Bozeman? It says the blind guy on the back. I think it's like a black van, and this is the blind guy.
Yeah, and he's got these black sunglasses that he can't see anything.
I, yeah. Isn't it like for Venetian blinds for like windows?
Yeah. So, the blind guy that you see doing other things that maybe blind guys don't do.
Or maybe blind guys can't do.
Yes. It's all a spoof.
Mm.
And there's this one is filled with metaphor, I think. It's called Soul Buzzard. It's a perceptual picture. The long ash on a cigarette tipped as the glow hit the filter, stalled and slowly smoldered out, now a black star. A soul buzzard, perched not far on a dead tree stripped to see, vulnerability just under an oppressive fog. He waits to pick at the inner ghost membrane, the heart hawk eyes movement of a meal, sees it and dives, talons swift to steal. The first to go is the steady beat plucked from life at birth in desire's fulfilling heat. The brain's bruin roars in confusion. It ponders itself into paralyzed indecision. and is of no use to anyone in continuum besides balancing a checkbook. The bear rips the complex organ from its disposable skull. The belly metered bat has a premonition, and one should well take heed in calculated anticipation of what may happen. The intuitional chameleon changes when it has to. So,
Nice.
I have a couple other, um, maybe I'll call more serious or more structured.
Sure.
This one is called The Pendulum Took a Swing. There are secrets in my heart that I'm unaware, and when they show, I wonder from where. It was the same night that the moon was there, and I was so unprepared. There are dreams that feel real in a strange room as they spill into a cold, cold mirror. The decision was made I'd make another one, as long as it was under the sun. Wait for the circle to come around, and the pendulum took a swing. Something I didn't know I had broke to the surface and took wing. There are love tiles in the mosaic of everything. That's floodwaters from a talking spring. It swept away any vision beyond a drought with the speed of an unmoved stream. There's commotion in my soul that has always been there. Today it stirs from the land of care. In a place that can change in a moment's notice, I cherish that time to be in focus. There's a new confidence in my intuition that has no superstition. A relative ancestor lives as another one dies, far from the place in their eyes. The feeling I had was everything will be all right in spite of the argument and the fight. The world was just fine without me and you. As it happens again, that will prove true. Wait for the circle to come around, and the pendulums took a swing. Something I didn't know I had broke to the surface and took wing.
That's cool. I like that one.
The one part, I don't know if you can still call it a lyric if it's just a part of a poem. Is that true? The part that like really stuck in my head over and over, like I can't get out of my head, is the mosaic of everything. That's just like a really beautiful picture in my mind.
And all full of small pieces.
Yeah,
Mhm.
all the
So,
little
yeah,
things
we,
that make up everything.
And the other one is called Listen in Order to Talk. Having belief doesn't mean it's true, especially when it's forced on you. Try to be calm and weather the storm, because it's been like this since life was born. Majority rules doesn't make it right when all the others come out at night. Even shadows need a place to live. It's not the lie, but the secret it gives. Listen in order to talk, crawl in order to walk, calm in order to rage, since life set the stage. The soul is free to go anywhere, though it's hard to see through the glare. Memory has a mind of its own, under the dust, the tar and the bone. Hampered by the speed of light, it takes time to make it right. Then the path will open wide, feel the strength just to walk inside. Some gamble for the price of food while thousands die on the evening news. Caught in a river without any banks, holds the future unknown in angst. Listen in order to talk, crawl in order to walk, calm in order to rage, since life set the stage.
It's kind of the world we live in, it seems like. But
Mhm.
And I can't help but be there. It's like,
right.
can't you write something about a snapdragon or
Oh yeah. How
uh,
come you're not writing?
those finches down by the creek? Or, and I should try it. But it seems like my head's just so jammed.
You're just too cynical.
Yeah, that's probably right. That reminds me. A friend of mine he needed a poem for a speech class, and I told him, it's a little yellow-beaked bird landed upon my sill, and I summoned him there with crumbs of bed, and then I smashed his goddamn head.
Ooh.
And he repeated that in class.
Uh,
I got in trouble.
Oh no.
of course. Uh, that's funny. So, Neil, is there anybody that you'd like to say thank you or give a shout out to that's kind of been an inspiration to you or helped you along the way?
Uh, did we just lose you?
Oop. Did I
Whoops.
pull on something?
No.
Technical difficulties,
Technical
everybody.
difficulties.
You gotta love when this happens. No,
Yeah.
I think my battery actually must have died. But
Okay.
it's a good thing we've got this backup mic here. So.
Hmm.
Well, I think Rob Morrow, the artist that put stuff together, and in the beginning, he would read through it and he would just rough sketch something that he thought was about the poem. It'd talk about being on the ledge, being on the edge, being out in the wilderness, kind of thing, and he would draw that ledge, that picture, and it would be on that same page. So it was back in the days of when cut and paste were really like cut and paste
Right.
Hmm.
to the sticky stuff on the picture and put it on the. So yeah, we've been doing it for a while, and I think um, just thankful to the human race. Really, it seems like all I have to do is take a walk and listen, and somebody will say something that's like a gem, just a little something I can take home, or it makes me feel all right that everybody isn't just full of shit. And uh, so I'm all right with that. I'm all right with. It's nothing I can do about the world, but I can try and do something in my community. Where I live, with you guys, with the people we know, stuff like that.
Oh, we definitely appreciate that. Do you have another one for us to wrap up the show with?
Let's. Yes, I do have one. It's called Holy Pestle. Pestle meaning a thing you grind your
Yes.
cares and woe in there. It's about not being able to leave town. It's about being trapped, and there's a train that goes by every day, and you can't get on it.
Oh, so my life in Livingston when I didn't have a car.
Okay, this one I'm
Wrote just
dedicating
for
to Aaron.
Oh, thank you.
Aaron.
Ravens, carrion eaters join death's convoy, sending souls into another world. It's as easy to believe as a deity's crossover. Place a bona fide burrowing beetle on her belly button after Dr. Feelgood inspected the birth canal. Buried with sleep, the egg was about to be made, since every twisted birth has a rite. Lightly sprinkle powder from the womb of the she-wolf, pounded and mortared with holy pestle. Mumble jumble my mumbo jumbo. But do not abort this hungered pestilence as sadness watches and tries to feed starvation. The train howls by every time, and they can never leave town. There is no frown, since no different life is known. The impaired stare can't rationalize birth with the outside sordid possibility that during dream sleep the illusion is totally forgotten upon awakening. How can anyone leave town for a fresh start when the heavy rug of education won't be lifted? The photo of famine is compelling, but it's too late. Vacant eyes evoke an appeal, but ends in postponement. Something came up, so why would you provide food and schools if all that was wanted was to keep a photo album of atrocities? I'd like to thank Gallatin Underground for um, letting me kind of kick off this portion of what you guys are trying to do. I feel honored to do that. So you guys do a lot for the community. Thank you.
Thank
Well,
you
thank
so
you,
much
Neil.
for.
This has been a pleasure having you on
Yeah,
our
this
show.
has been amazing.
Again, if you guys are out there and you want to get on our show, we would love to have you, regardless of what kind of artist you are. This show is dedicated to you. Hopefully, we get a lot more different artists and variety of artists involved in our community, because we are in a very much melting pot of artists in this area and in this valley. So. Um, with that, if you guys were watching the show and enjoyed it, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and know your
Know
scene.
your scene.